guys. Welcome back to the Matrix. I've had enough. No, I've had enough.
Do not pull that lever! This is not good. This is definitely not good.
Welcome back to Canon, the series where we break down Doctor Who into its individual components. Try put it back together again and then realise none of the pieces fit together in the first place.
We need to get out of here right now. Bob, what did you press? This one?
I know now who's responsible. You are. You sabotaged my ship.
I can't stay mad at these guys. Bello!
I don't want to go.
Fact number 1. Seven said what to Stalin? Look, this isn't a program that has any shortage of dictators.
I don't like dictatorships. I never have and I never will.
Old Joe might not be up there with the likes of Davros and Magalord III. But there's this thing called, real history, not Doctor Who history, that sometimes you want to take into consideration in your time travel series. Stephen Moffat's Let's Kill Hitler is a piece of metafiction with the end statement that Doctor Who does not belong in certain sensitive eras of history, and also sexual innuendos. In fact, it's mostly about sexual innuendos. So what do we do with the elephant in the room called Joseph Stalin? If you are writer Stephen Hatcher, you dive headfirst into it. In closing the accounts, an elderly Joseph Stalin wants one last conversation with the Doctor on the day he will be assassinated. Yep, assassinated, that's confirmed. Stalin has a very established relationship with the Time Lord, and he knows him well enough that he can recognise Ace as a 7th Doctor companion. Old Joe hasn't seen the Doctor in 25 years, so he sends one of his soldiers to capture Ace, which leads to Seven marching into his office. Doctor, old friend. Joseph. Great, I hate it. There's two men in a room. Stalin then asks what his legacy will be. And the Doctor replies, though people will vilify you for over a century, they will eventually realise you have done the right thing, and they will continue your work. Okay. What am I meant to say to that? Seven's a fucking Trotskyite! You know what, writer Stephen Hatcher? I tip my hat to you, marching headfirst into the most uncomfortable, ethically dodgy subject matter possible with this franchise on your first go-round. And then you profess that the Doctor thinks Stalin is a good man, deep down. Unreal! Unreal! There's no ulterior motive. There's no reason to lie to the man. All I'm saying is, I don't think Ace is wearing that badge on her coat for decoration.
The problem with history books is that they are inevitably written by the victors. Propaganda and lies become the truth. History becomes almost as distorted as if someone had travelled back in time and rewritten it. And trust me, I've done enough of that in my time.
He's not my hero. I'm a communist, you idiot.
And that right there is Stalin's biggest contribution to the universe. We've got the definitive word on it, folks. What the fuck was he thinking? But then I gotta tell you about a little spin-off, a crossover, called The Winning Side. In The Winning Side, the secrets to the atomic bomb are shared ahead of schedule. If everyone has atomic bombs, there's instant world peace. Yeah, well, in this timeline, a paranoid Joseph Stalin is still in power and unleashes his nukes on the rest of the planet, creating the perfect opportunity for the party to take over. Now, if this is all sounding a bit 1984, that's because it is. The Winning Side is an attempt to incorporate George Orwell's 1984 as an alternate variant of the Doctor Who timeline.
And you still insist on defending a system that you know is responsible for the disappearance of your son. Of other people's sons.
Doctor Who is a sci-fi behemoth, just absorbing any property it can come in contact with. This is the Time Hunter series by Lance Parkin. Released by Telos Publishing, it got reissued just a few years back, and it's on Spotify for free. It's a fun time agent-esque series that changes genre on a dime. A lot of noir, a lot of ties to faction paradox and the ritualism of the EDAs, but it follows Honor Lechasseur and Emily Blandish, who are from the book Cabinet of Light. So that's the Doctor Who link. The George Orwell link comes from them directly jumping into the 1984 timeline and recognizing it as such. It is book accurate. Now, if you want a contradiction, the book also does exist in the Whoniverse. The Doctor references it, he owns a copy. So George Orwell is presumably now some time-space soothsayer. That's kinda cool. So I guess the world of 1984 either doesn't have a Doctor anymore, maybe he gave up on us, maybe he's there. Oh, hello. The way I like to picture it is that if we just had one more chapter, we would have seen that blue box land and he would have fixed it overnight. Yeah, he's a naughty little man. You gotta keep an eye on historicals when they're set in the 7th Doctor's era, because sometimes he's against the Nazis and sometimes he's Hitler's advisor. And we'll do that one another time, I'm sure. Hey Missy, you so fine. You so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Missy. Missy was never stuck in the vaults. The Master going cold turkey from being a dick. Looking back, I consider Series 10's vault to be such an anticlimax it almost borders on being a red herring. Do you remember us back in the day hypothesizing who could possibly be in there? The Sim Master, the Rani, all the usual suspects. I remember my guess back in the day, back on the forum, was that he had locked the first Doctor in there, which, going by previous Moffat conventions, wouldn't be the most outlandish thing. But boldly, Moffat decided that the reveal was that there was no reveal. The Master's just back in jail, and the Doctor is his prison warden. Not the first time this dynamic has happened. Just take a look at the unit years, or the time he got stuck inside the TARDIS as a ghost. But thanks to all the extended media that spawned from Series 10, we know that Missy could have escaped that place whenever she wanted. The recent Missy run in Titan Comics displays that Missy has prior knowledge of future events that she will end up under lock and key by the Doctor. She went there of her own volition. According to this book, she carries out some of her biggest plans from the vaults. There's this great one that I've been wanting to tell you about for months. Girl Power by Jacqueline Rayner. Rayner's writing some of the more fun, weird stuff. She's popping up quite a lot in this series these days. In her short Missy story, she places her underground in the vault, reading a history book about famous women, written by one Evelyn Smythe. Nice. But Missy likes Evelyn's book a bit too much, and decides the best way that she could support these oppressed women from history, these great rulers, is to create a girl chat, a group text chat across time and space. Girls' night. This temporal WhatsApp group, a paradox waiting to happen, includes Marie Antoinette, Boudica, Florence Nightingale, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Joan of Arc, Pocahontas, Lady Godiva, Agatha Christie, Helen of Troy, Mary Queen of Scots, Calamity Jane, Mary Tudor, Grace O'Malley, and Jane Austen.
Welcome, girlies! Let's take over the world! Now, I know killing men is something that we all like to do for fun, but because I've been told very definitely that it's slightly naughty, my proposal is that we only kill men when it's really, really necessary. Like when they stand between us and the throne, or they spill our pint. Okay?
Agatha Christie replies, "This is obviously some sort of joke, but I don't understand it. Goodbye, ladies."
Wuss!
You need help.
Well, of course I need help. I'm locked in a vault. I can't do it all by myself. That's the whole point of this group.
Uh-oh, Boudica's typing. "Put all men to the sword!"
That's the spirit.
It's at this point in the conversation that all of Henry VIII's wives start going off at each other. God, can't take them anywhere.
I can use my magics to enchant the men and turn them into pigs.
Now that could be useful. Now hush up. Be a quiet wee girl as I think up the plan.
We girl? Isn't that rather sexist?
Ugh, man up.
That's sexist too.
Oh, will you just grow a pair? Bitch.
The plan backfires when the Doctor enters the chat, but for a short amount of time, Missy was really trying to effect a feminist change. It's just occurred to me that this is probably what Not My Doctors think women actually talk about.
Oh, my plan was to disrupt history and make it better. Telling the women of this planet to turn on their oppressors. Isn't that what you always do?
It's not even a villain plan. And as a result, by the end of Series 10, the Doctor just lets her out, both knowing that the cage itself was just a formality at this point.
I was trying to be like you.
The Master is famously slippy, just like a snake or a deathworm morphant. It's hard keeping this character in any one place. Then there's the short story Pain Management, in which Bill, Nardo and 12 take Missy to a rock concert. No reason, no responsibility, just vibes. When the Doctor accidentally knocks himself out stage diving, Missy is free, off her leash, and walks around the busy hospital trying to find something good to do.
Oh, maybe I'll cure a disease this afternoon. That'll impress him. Goodbye, influenza.
And within the hour, Missy's created a new kind of zombie outbreak. She's just not very good at being good. The Master just enjoys mischief too much. Is that a crime? To be a little mischief maker? To have some trouble, some little larks? I should hope not. Last time the Master was in jail, he got up to similar chicanery. Oh, now there's a word. The Switching is another short story showing the Delgado Master's time in unit jail. And I had to include this one too because when the Master's in jail, he doesn't go for villain plans, he's a prankster. In The Switching, he swaps bodies with the Doctor for 24 hours and makes a very half-hearted attempt to escape his confinement. I think the Master just enjoys jail. They bring him sandwiches and sword fights and he gets to watch the clangers. If he gets bored, he can just break himself out as he's brainwashed an entire town's population who throw themselves at units whenever he wants to go on a stroll. The Switching is kind of like a continuity Easter egg hunt. Lots of cannon plasters over this thing. It's nothing but cannon plastering. The Delgado Master sneaks around the unit base as the Doctor for the afternoon, and mostly just tries to stir drama and pull pranks on unit. Mischief, even. His evil plans in this extend to messing with the TARDIS desktop just to mildly annoy him. Which is why you get the washing up bowl look in that story. To the evil scheme of hiding Bessie's remote control, just so the Doctor can't find his keys. I guess he did want to get revenge on that yellow demon, the car that brought him to justice. In the end, the plan doesn't work out. He decides to go back to his room, wondering to himself, should I booby-trap the Doctor's laboratory? Nah. He decides against it, just to mess with his head even more. I'm telling you, this guy has a thing for doing time. I know just about everybody can escape Stormcage whenever they feel like it, but we know that Delgado treats it like a free hotel. A travel lodge with, all these fun faces. So if you ever do see him behind bars, just know that is probably just where the Master wants to be. Unless it's a video game. Or if the Doctor's in the cell as well. Take me home, country roads. Let's talk about the origins of Faction Paradox's newest member.
Sibling same, he invokes our name again.
How I tired the little factoid man.
Yeah, well maybe I'm getting a bit sick of you guys breathing down my neck every time I want to make a video.
Ugh, finish the EDAs already, you uncultured swine.
You can't run from us forever, Samuel.
Shit. This last fact, I'm essentially doxing members of Faction Paradox. Taking on and recycling, re-energizing previously discarded characters from the Doctor Who continuity. The people that time forgot. Kelsey Hooper taught about black magic and living a new secret life outside time and space. That's basically the long and the short of it. In the Book of the Peace, this is Wade. And again, for legal reasons, this cannot be the character it clearly is intended to be, but you can read between the lines. Wade is a elderly human woman who worked as a mercenary. She had ginger hair, moss green eyes, had a fierce dislike of robots, and previously travelled with a Time Lord who promised her everything, but dumped her as soon as she was inconvenient. Does this ring a bell? It should. This is Amy Pond. Wade is, for all intents and purposes, intended to be the older Amy from The Girl Who Waited.
I'll just, leave you two geniuses alone. I'll be back in a minute.
Pretty wild, considering we actually see her die on screen. God forbid the faction use the odd little paradox to recruit new members. This makes two evil institutions that have recruited an evil offshoot of Amy Pond's. I really like this. This is exactly the sort of thing that makes people go, whoa, I do need to start reading Faction Paradox. And yeah, I do need to start reading Faction Paradox. It's my white whale. It's my Everest. It'll be the final summit to climb. To date, she's only appeared in the story A Farewell to Arms, where she went on a 3-year undercover mission with the Nope. What I find very curious is that this is even more out of character than Kelsey Hooper. Amy Pond may have been discarded and led a tragic, hunted life, but she was still Amy Pond. She ended that story with dignity and, honestly, a little bit of acceptance. But I guess Faction have like really good work perks. They must do, because they hire from all over the show. Every single bit of continuity. Anyone from Time Lords to drug dealers. In fact, actually a lot of drug dealers. In weapons grade snake oil, we find out that Father Christmas is running a dodgy operation in a Bankside power station in Northumberland. Top secret Faction Paradox base in Bankside. Anyway, he recruited a local drug dealer called Sharonda, who later became known as Mother Chantel for helping Father Christmas arrange a heist. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and in this case, you would have to know Father Christmas of Faction Paradox. Then there's little sister Alicia, who was recruited in a nightclub bathroom as she was throwing up. Yeah, sure, I'll join. Little did she know, she was a child of prophecy. And soon the faction gave her a new title, sent her off to kill her parents, and becomes embroiled in a cosmic war to find the peace, the ending of the war in heaven. Come on, we've all had benders like that.
Cease these investigations.
Nah, I don't think I will. You know the wiki has a full list of your top secret cult, right? The faction also has 8th Doctor companion Fitz, a green armoured Martian called Gustav, and a bony-faced alien called Axostaikis, who reads like a Sycorax. There's Captain Sir Richard Francis Burton, he was a 19th century adventurer, and also the faction have a little sibling shotgun. Her real identity is Anne Bonny, the infamous 18th century pirate. Porcina, a stand-up comedian who started parodying the faction in his acts, and the fathers of the faction actually thought, yeah, that's kind of funny, get him in.
No, stop.
Man, I'm not even nearly done. Hassani Sabah, the first assassin, Iranian legend. He's one of yours. Christine Summerfield, from what I can work out, she's a human clone, not of Bernice, but of Chris Quedge, another 7th Doctor companion. Aaron Blinovich, you know the Blinovich effect? And the same for Father Zeller. His story clearly mirrors real-world scientist Frauke Zeller, the co-creator of the Hitchbot. Sure, you two, jump in. And then it gets stranger. Cousin Cecilia is a rogue time ship in the form of a giant squid. This is only about the 6th most complicated thing about this character. This is Shunkucker, that's his name, who's not really doing a lot to dispel your whole bondage vibe you've got going on. Christopher Marlowe, Elizabethan-era playwright and rival of Shakespeare. This guy has a timeline so contradictory in the universe, I'd be disappointed if he wasn't Faction Paradox. He's met the 4th Doctor and Stephen Taylor. He was a travelling companion of the Masters, and he was stabbed to death by Captain John Hart. But then I guess he decided that death wasn't really him, because he then went on to die another 4 times in the Whoniverse. Yeah, I'd get pretty pissed off at the Time Lords too. And there's a Hollywood producer and a T-Robot, but most of all, Faction Paradox seem to have recruited the Doctor himself. This is the character only known as Intrepid. Intrepid is a half-human, half-homeworlder child. Homeworlder in this series, of course, being doublespeak for Time Lord. We've seen 3 of the Intrepid's regenerations, none of them going too well, as mostly in this series he's a Skull Trooper. But his parents are never identified, and there's a lot of similarities. One interpretation is that Intrepid is the child of Leela and Andred. Now, think back. From a previous Broke Canon, you might remember that we established that Leela is technically the mother of the Doctor, as the child her and Andred give birth to before the events of Lungbarrow is presumed to be the other. One of the founding fathers of Gallifrey myth. Since we know the Doctor is the other, or at least referred to as such, the faction have really done their homework and might have just recruited the other, a possible past Doctor. And because of licensing workarounds, the true confirmed identities of all these characters is left down to our interpretation, as so much is in the world of faction paradox. What do you think of that, huh? I got you two sussed.
Did you just do a whole section on dead naming, Gus?
Oh God. I'm sorry. What is it you go by now?
Nah, just messing with you. We're still gonna kill you, though.
Whew. Okay. Good. Thank you to Vacuum of Comments, Chiba City Blues, Alia E, Torres, and Joseph Stalin for lending their voice talents. See you next time.